going to get you. Like you, because now you're broke. Most people, when you fight a charge, it takes everything you got.
Bro, I had when I had my case, they went ahead and took the liberty of throwing me in a gang unit, and I wasn't in a gang.
Right.
I'm like, excuse me.
Right.
And that is a 10-year enhancement on your sentence. So if you have a robbery in which the sentence is 2 years, you're doing 12. Okay. So I had to have a trial to prove that I wasn't a gang member. That ate my entire retainer.
Yep.
I had to start over. I didn't know. I didn't know how it worked. I'm like, well, I already paid you, but
no, this is for one.
So, but when so mine, I didn't go to trial, right? I initially ran. I went on a run because they took me out of that gang unit, but they kept me with the gang prosecutor, who was just evil, just evil. And you know, the nature, if you read, you know how it is when they write everything up, it's horrible. It's horrible, right? Every bullet is a charge, right? Every little thing. And they make it like that to scare you into a plea. Take a plea.
Yep.
So, and typically 90% of that goes away.
Yep.
So they're just like 10 years. I'm like, I have no priors. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is defending my house. Like, what are you talking about, right? So it was getting closer and closer. I'm like bluffing them, like, let's go to trial.
Right.
I'm not gonna accept 10 years. Right. Y'all gotta come grab me and pull me. You know what I'm saying? It's like my kids will be teenagers. No.
Yes.
So I ran, you know, and that's not I wouldn't recommend that for anybody. It's not the right thing to do, but it's what I felt I needed to do.
That in itself is a different life.
Man, it was, I felt like it took all my joy, all my happiness, right? So I'm out, and every day, I was a fugitive for 7 years. That doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Cats get caught immediately.
Yes.
Or they hustling and get caught doing it. It's always my mother sent me a message, said, baby, just know that when they catch you, it's going to be worse.
Yep.
I said, I'll take my chances.
Yep.
I did the math in my head real quick, though, before I say anything. Like, I'm not going to prison for 10 years. I didn't do anything to warrant that, right?
Right.
I can't see that happen. I'm not doing it. So I left. And, you know, that shit was rough. It was like I'm stripped down to my soul. Money, gone. Like, rep. This was the cold part. So y'all need to stay out the streets, because the streets has no loyalty.
Facts.
The people that I was putting jewelry on when they came out of prison, putting up in apartments, I'm buying, you know, getting the party bus we go out. I'm doing the most at all times, right? None of them, they laughed. That nigga's done. They celebrated and what looked like my demise. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, weak people can't let their nuts hang around strong people. So when you go down, bro, it was
That's a bar.
That part was one of the hardest things because it wasn't like, I wasn't even sad. I was enraged. You know what I'm saying? And there was moments when I wanted to go back to that state and pop up on people's doors. Like, fuck my life. Fuck up my life, but fuck their lives up too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad I didn't. But that period, you know, I had to deal with those emotions. You know what I'm saying? And I had to really, like, ask myself, are you a bad person? Are you the person that they're making you out to be? Well, this is your time to prove it. You know what I'm saying? So your boy was literally homeless, and this was not long. It was like 10 years ago, 9 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I had to humble myself. I went from having everything to being homeless.
Yeah.
That's the worst. When you just kind of in the streets already and you homeless, it ain't nothing.
Yeah.
But when you have a life and you're the guy, that shit was rough. But I had to swallow it.
Punch that ego.
I had to swallow it, bro. And I got a job. I did all kind of research. The NCIS, do this flag my passport, do the IRS show anything if I fill out the paperwork for a job. Cause I wasn't gonna get a fake ID. That would have been even worse. You know what I'm saying? So I'm figuring out how I could do this. Cause somebody told me, a good friend of mine, he said, hide in plain sight. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I did. I said, all right, got a job. Oh, cool. You know what I'm saying? Everything. I even left the country. It's certain things that are flagged. And what my charge was not, it doesn't get flagged by NCICS. So I'm making these moves and I'm living my life. And I'm like, shit, they must don't care.
Right.
I'm training people. That's what I think. Training people. And my content started getting more and more popular. And I didn't want it to. I'm like, fuck. Because initially it was just my clients and my content. And I was putting videos up of them or whatnot to get more clients. And it was working. Every now and then I like put myself up doing a workout.
Right.
And they was loving it. I'm like, oh, fuck, maybe they don't care. And then my clientele happened to be cops.
Oh, wow.
Cops and military dudes. They just love that rough training, that hardcore training.
Yikes.
I'm like, this is crazy, right? So then I started getting really popular. YouTube, everything. I couldn't stop it. I'm like, well, we'll see what happens. But every day I had a dark cloud over me. Capping, like, I could never laugh too hard. They'd be like, what are you laughing at? They might be at your house right now. Today could be the day. Every day. So this one fateful day, me and my boy Chai, we sparring. We at the gym, and my dog was a puppy. We was done. I took him outside to take him for a walk, and the dude walking the gym, it was just weird. He didn't belong. And I got used to my level of surveying areas is like cop level. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to think like them. I could tell you a undercover cop anywhere to this day. I know where they at. You know what I'm saying? So I had this dude walk in. It was just weird. I spoke to him, like, how you doing, man? It made him nervous. That was weird. Sheriff's car, unmarked. Sheriff, unmarked. U.S. Marshals, the cavalry. What's your name? You tell me.
Facts.
So the guy was a gentleman, though, because the marshals come hard. But he was a gentleman. He said, look, because he been on my case for a while I was always like a couple days ahead of them. You know what I'm saying? By the time they figured it out. Just 7 years later. So he said, look, man, you're a good person. You do a lot of good for a lot of people. Just get this behind you and move on with your life. I was like, man, thank you. But in my head, I'm like, ain't no moving on. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to be in the box. So go down for sentencing. And the judge, you know, they don't have to accept the plea. And this judge was mean. She was
scariest day of your life. But they said they have to accept that plea.
I can't run now. There's nothing. I gotta just ride it out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mr. King, if this was being this is a very, very peculiar case. If this was being adjudicated closer to the time that this happened, you'd be going to prison right now. But it wasn't. And the court see that you're not a criminal. Get out of my courtroom. What?
Yeah.
I get in the elevator by myself, and I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to having that dark cloud.
That
it
pressure.
was 7 years.
Yeah.
And it's not there. It's like I needed it. It was like a comfort. As weird as that sound, I was so used to having that.
It kept
that
you
dark.
on.
Yeah, bro. So now, and this is the thing I try to tell people all the time. During that process, that was a year. If people, I can show people specific videos, training videos of mine on YouTube, where my wardrobe changed because I had a big ankle bracelet, a GPS bracelet. It's different than a regular ankle bracelet. It's this big, right? Metal all the way around it. You walk, it cuts into your skin. You got to plug it in the wall 5 hours a day, right? You got to sit. I got to sit by the wall 5 hours a day, right? You drive by a Greyhound or airport, they call you from the thing, talking shit, disrespectful too. You guys got to. And I'm an alpha type of dude.
Right.
So that's, what the fuck are you doing at the Greyhound? Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, just driving by. Driving by.
Go in the store.
You know what I'm saying? So at this time, that was very crushing and depressing. You know what I'm saying? So, because at this point, I built up a very good life with businesses. You know what I'm saying? Now they came and got me, and I'm like, what a idiot, right? So I was depressed, but that's a natural thing that happens. But I didn't sit down to it. Kept on my YouTube videos. I would wear boots, cargo pants, and tuck it under so you couldn't see the ankle bracelet. I didn't stop progressing my career and my life. I kept proceeding like I had no problems. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I try to tell people. That's why I'm the wrong person for somebody to give an excuse to. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, for sure.
I had so much pressure on me. Every time I walk, I feel this shit digging
So you
in
built
me.
your brand
During that
that trying
as a
time.
fugitive.